Rainy days don't seem so wet. Stormy nights don't stay. From the moment that we met, you were worth the wait. Oh, this could be the best thing that I'll ever know. Best thing that I'll ever know.
Oh, hello. How are you guys doing? How are you? Thank you for watching my show. All right, so tonight I don't have anybody in chat, so I'm just going to get right into it. I went thrifting today, and I got some really nice items, and tomorrow I'll be putting out a thrifting video. So that's a good thing. I haven't put one out in a little while. I kind of got, I just didn't want to. Didn't want to go thrifting. Didn't want to do anything for a long time. I mean, I just been, don't want to do nothing. So, except research and talk to you. So, with that being said, I'm going to put up my disclaimer. My thing is, what is the criteria for meat and what is the criteria for meat for, I can't spell, I can't make sense of this, for an Amber Alert in each of the 50 states. What that's supposed to mean is I looked on every one of the 50 states and looked up their Amber Alert policy. And most of them they're all very similar, but there's some slight variances. There's some states that, man, it's like pulling teeth. There's almost nothing you can do to get an Amber Alert out in that state. You'll find it here in a little bit. So I'm going to put up my fair use disclaimer. Well, there it is. Let's do the fun part. Ooh. I love doing that. All right. Sorry. It was just fun. So, okay. Then I'm going to do a present screen. Do you want me to put music behind it while I read? Because it'll be kind of boring if I'm just monotone sitting here reading. I try not to be monotone, though, because that is boring. Let's come down here. I don't know how that sounds to y'all. I like it song. Okay. Before I sit here and go into doing a jig out here for y'all. So, okay. Criteria for Amber Alert in all 50 states. The Amber Alert system is a critical. I'm going to have to turn that down a little bit. The song just kind of gets loud. I gotta put it on a loop. All right. The Amber Alert system is a critical tool used across the United States to help recover abducted children. I'm going to move my camera so you can see me instead of the side of my head. Oh, I turned the light on. Oh, shit, I don't know how I did that. Anyway, let's come on. Okay, now you're looking at me. The Amber Alert system is a critical tool used across the United States to help recover abducted children by quickly disseminating information to the public. While the U.S. Department of Justice provides general guidelines for Amber Alerts, each state has its own specific criteria, which can vary slightly. Today, we will cover the Amber Alert criteria across the United States based on the federal guidelines and state-specific variations where available. Since providing detailed criteria for all 50 states would be extensive, I'll outline the federal baseline and highlight the variations for as many states as I can. I was able to go onto websites for all 50 states and get their criteria. Okay. And I did. I know I got all 50 states because this. I don't know if you can see it. I printed out the list of all 50 states. Because I also collect state coffee mugs and I can go through and check off which ones I have. Because I have like 26, 25, 26. So. You would think with my husband being an over-the-road truck driver, I would have 50. But when I get a duplicate, my friend Henry's also collecting the 50 state coffee mugs. So when I get a duplicate, if she doesn't already have it, I just give it to her. Loud truck. He can't make the circle in the cul-de-sac. He has to make a 3-point turn. Okay. The U.S. Department of Justice, through the Office of Justice Programs, recommends the following criteria for issuing an Amber Alert to ensure consistency and effectiveness across jurisdictions. I do not know why I'm yawning. It happens every time I come online or when I start reading. The U.S. Department of Justice, through the Office of Justice Programs, recommends the following criteria for issuing an Amber Alert to ensure consistency and effectiveness across jurisdictions. Reasonable belief of abduction. Law enforcement must have a reasonable belief that the child has been abducted. Imminent danger. The child must be believed to be in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. Descriptive information. There must be sufficient descriptive information about the victim, the abductor, or the abductor's vehicle to believe a broadcast will aid recovery. Age requirement. The child must be 17 years of age or younger. Some states may honor requests from other states with different age limits. NCIC entry. The child's name and other critical data, including the child's abduction CA. I don't know what that means. Oh, in California. Flag must be entered in the National Crime Information Center (NCIC) system. These guidelines aim to prevent overuse, which could desensitize the public and ensure timely, accurate alerts. However, states adapt these criteria to fit local needs, leading to variations in age limits, definitions of abduction, and additional requirements. Let me pull this up on screen so y'all can also read it. It's kind of dumb for me to just have it down here and you not be able to see it. All right. Can you see a little better? Okay. Alabama. A child has been abducted as defined by 13A-6-40 Alabama Criminal Code. The child is less than 18 years old. The child is at risk of seriously bodily harm. There is enough descriptive information about the child, abductor, and or suspect's vehicle to believe an imminent broadcast alert will help investigators locate the child. The previous criteria for the alert said the person must be missing and be living with mental or physical disabilities such as Alzheimer's, dementia, or autism. That person also has to be considered at risk of bodily harm or death. So they have to have all of this stuff just to be able to get an Amber Alert. Alaska. Information on the abduction has been entered into the NCIC Center and Alaska Public Safety Information Network, ASPIN, Alaska Public Safety Information Network, and flagged as child abduction, CA, or Amber Alert, AA. The abduction involves a child or children under 18 years of age or someone with known mental or physical disability. An Amber Alert is a nationwide alert system and in Alaska is run by the Department of Public Safety. Every successful Amber plan contains clearly defined activation criteria. Okay, doesn't say anything, does it? Just that your child has to be under 18 with a mental or physical disability. You don't have to know what car it is. You don't have to know anything. Of course, if your child's abducted, a lot of times you're not going to know the vehicle. Like in the case of Sebastian Rogers. If he was actually abducted, nobody knows what the actual vehicle that was seen at 3:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Nobody knows exactly what that vehicle is, for sure. Because he wasn't seen being abducted. Summer Wells. Nobody knows what vehicle if she was abducted. John Benet Ramsey, we found out that she was not abducted, but there wouldn't have been a vehicle because they happened in the middle of the night and children are taken. And Miss Smart that was abducted and recovered. You know, nobody knew what vehicle it was. How could there have been an Amber Alert on said person? I'm looking at my window over here instead of looking at you. Okay. Arizona. A child under 18 has been abducted. Okay. Law enforcement has determined the child is not a runaway, and a custody dispute is not the sole reason for requesting the activation, which means it's not a mother or father. I'm taking my child because I want to have custody now, or anything like that. The abduction poses a credible threat or of imminent danger, seriously bodily injury, or death to the child. Okay. So the Arizona laws are just a little different. The child can be all the way up to 18 years old before they're abducted. So in Arizona, my son, who's about to turn 18, if he was abducted, you know, could I get an Amber Alert? Well, it would depend. I mean, if I saw the vehicle, maybe, but I don't even have to have that in Arizona. I'd have to show credible threat or imminent danger. Now, if I saw that he was taken by somebody with a weapon, then he would be in imminent danger. So whoever would be armed and dangerous. Okay, I'd have to skip to the next page. Arkansas. The person missing must blah blah. The person missing must be 17 years of under age. Let's try that again. The person missing must be 17 and under years of age. The way they write these things makes it difficult. There must be reasonable belief an abduction has taken place. There is reasonable belief by law enforcement that an actual abduction has occurred. Isn't that what the other thing just said? Okay. Law enforcement believes that it's going to rain tomorrow. Law enforcement believes that the child is in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. That's I'm going to guess almost every state because it was one of the main ones when we started. I'll have to read more into that one. Something about people that were autopsied after getting the COVID vaccine. There was something, 17.9%, something about them. My watch don't get all that information. I'm not Katie Proudfoot, but yes, I do have a smartwatch. It's not Apple. My husband wishes it was. Because this is Android. And this is my smartwatch that goes to my Android. It's a Garmin. And this is my Apple. Okay. California. It has been confirmed an abduction has occurred or the child has been taken and by anybody including but not limited to parents and or guardians. So in California, even if it is a non-custodial parent that has taken the child, they can put out an Amber Alert. Well, that's good to know. The victim is 17 years of age or younger, or of proven mental or physical disability. That means even if they're 18, 19, whatever, if they're mentally 10 or 12, 13, 14, not they have a slower development. Or if they have a physical disability that would prevent them from being able to get back home and would put them in danger, then they could be. There is a reason to believe that the victim is in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. That's in all of them. There is information available that the disseminated to the general public could assist in the safe recovery of the victim. So that would mean like a car or the description of the person that had abducted them or something like that. The Amber Alert cannot be used for custodial disputes or runaway cases that don't meet the criteria. Law enforcement agencies are encouraged to issue an endangered missing advisory for cases that don't meet the criteria. Now, that's what happened with Sebastian Rogers. He got an endangered missing poster, and then the next day he got an Amber Alert poster. Here are the steps a law enforcement agency must take once it has been determined that the criteria have been met. And on their page, I just printed too much of it. I copied too much of it. But on their page, it was like 7 pages of stuff for California. Colorado. The abducted child must be 17 years of age or younger. The abducted child must be in immediate danger of serious bodily harm or death. There must be enough descriptive information available to believe that a broadcast will assist in aid of the recovery. The activation must be requested by local law enforcement agency or Amber designee from another state. Okay, so if somebody in Colorado, I'm going to click on that. Is that a link? That's not a link. I'm not on the site. On the site, it was a link. I'm wondering if somebody is believed to have been taken out of state. Then Colorado could request an Amber Alert from another state. Connecticut issued Amber Alerts based on federal criteria. Oh, see my mark? I got to see Red Alert today. I get to see him for the next 3 days. And you know what I figured out? I'm the only one he jumps on like that. Okay. Connecticut issues Amber Alerts based on federal criteria and can only be triggered by state police. To issue an Amber Alert, the child must be under 18, in danger of serious bodily harm or death, and law enforcement officials must have enough descriptive information to believe that a broadcast will help. So, a state police officer, the fate of your child is up to a state police officer. Okay. Remind me not to move to Connecticut. Delaware. The disappearance of a person who poses a credible threat to their health and safety as determined by the investigating law enforcement agency, the police again. Amber Alerts are activated in most serious children abduction cases to galvanize the community and assist in the search for a missing child. So you have to be seriously in danger to get an Amber Alert in Delaware. I'm not moving to Delaware either. Florida. The child must be younger than 18 years old. There must be clear indication of an abduction. Investigators believe the child's life is in danger. The alert must be have a detailed description of the child and abductor. Local law enforcement has to recommend it. Once again, in Florida, the fate of your child. Well, it is in all the states, okay? It is in all the states. It's just written this way. Okay, so, I mean, because it's all going to start with law enforcement, okay? Now, in the case of Sebastian Rogers, TBI, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, it wasn't just local law enforcement. And I agree with it being somebody higher up than just law enforcement. Because in the town I live in, here in Nowhereville, Kansas, if you call the police for something, they're not going to do squat. They're not going to do nothing. Unless you are related to the police officer or another police officer on the force. Or if you're dating a police officer. Georgia. Oh, that wasn't supposed to be able to be split. Darn it. I have nobody in my chat tonight. Okay, we're going to go through this anyway because somebody may need some of this information one day. Georgia. There's reasonable belief by law enforcement that an abduction has occurred. The law enforcement agency believes that the child is in imminent danger of serious body injury or death. There's enough descriptive. Now I can't hear any music. Okay. Oh, I almost ended the live stream. I didn't want to do that. Okay. There's enough descriptive information about the victim and the abduction of law enforcement to issue an Amber Alert to assist in the recovery of the child. The abduction is of a child aged 17 years young or younger. So kids have to be 17 and where are we at? Georgia? That's why I didn't want them to be on two different pages. Okay. The child's name and other critical data elements, including the child's abduction flag, have been entered into the National Crime Information Center NCIC system. So in other words, the child I'm wondering, can you just get your child put in the NCIC? I know down in Arkansas, I have this paper down in my basement where if my son were to be abducted, I have his fingerprints, his date of birth, his hair color, his eye color, all that information. The police officer came to the school and they fingerprinted all the children and filled out this card that can be given. And I think a copy of that is I think the police actually put a copy of that in the database in Arkansas. So I guess that my son would be in NCIC, especially since he's mixed race, because his father, my daughter was dating a illegal person from Honduras or El Salvador, one of those Mexican states or countries down there. So CJ's partial Mexican. Okay, so let's go to Hawaii. In Hawaii, a child 17 years old or younger is abducted. There's information that the child is in danger or death, of harm or death. A description of the abductor and or the abductor's vehicle is available. Okay, so if your child is not in immediate danger, which if a child is abducted, they are in danger, regardless, in my opinion. But you have to have a description of the abductor or abductor's vehicle. What if the abductor takes your child while you're in bed asleep and you think your child is in their bed asleep safe and sound, and you wake up and your child is missing? Like the Miss Smart, I think her name was, I want to say Elizabeth Smart, who was taken out of her bed where she was laying right next to her sister, and her sister saw the abductor. But her sister was too young to describe it. Because when you're 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, everybody's going to be a tall person, you know? Okay, Idaho. A, must be reported to law enforcement agency. Okay. B, must be or must be believed to be a temporary or permanent resident of Idaho. Okay, so if I go to Idaho and my child is abducted while I'm on vacation, then I can't get an Amber Alert? Must be at a location that cannot be determined by a person familiar with the missing individual, and D, must be someone who is incapable of returning to the missing individual's residence without assistance by any reason of mental illness, intellectual disability, dementia, weather conditions, or another physical or mental incapacity that requires care of the individual or management of the individual property. So, if you're in Idaho on vacation and your child does not know where they are because they're in a strange state, if they get abducted, according to this, there cannot be an Amber Alert because your child is not a permanent resident or temporary resident of Idaho. Okay. Another physical or mental incapacity that requires care of it. Okay, we read that. Number 2, I, who is missing as the result of abduction by a stranger and does not meet the criteria for the Amber Alert or Blue Alert. Okay. I, who is missing under unexplained, involuntary, or suspicious circumstance. Okay. IV, which is 4. whose disappearance may be the result of the commission of a crime. Okay. B, whose disappearance occurred under circumstances that are inherently dangerous. Okay. Who needs medical attention or prescription medication, or who has previously been the victim of a threat of violence or an act of violence. Okay, so if I go to Idaho on vacation and somebody threatens my child, threatens to hurt my child, and then my child gets abducted, then I can get an Amber Alert. Remind me not to go to Idaho. Well, my son will be 18 in 6 weeks, so I don't have to worry about him getting. But I'd be afraid to take my grand angel. Illinois. Law enforcement must confirm a child has been abducted. The child must be under the age of 16 or have a proven mental or physical disability. Law enforcement must believe the child is in danger of serious bodily harm or death. There is enough descriptive information about the child, abductor, and or suspect's vehicle to believe an imminent broadcast alert will help. After all four of these criteria apply, Illinois can then issue an Amber Alert. Generally, a local law enforcement agency will contact the Illinois State Police, providing details of the abduction before any alert is issued. So they have to have all four of these in Illinois to get the Amber Alert. In Indiana, the child must be under 18 years of age. The child must be believed to be abducted and in danger of serious bodily harm or death. There must be enough descriptive information to believe the broadcast will that the broadcast will help. The request must be recommended by law enforcement agency of jurisdiction. In addition, the person must be a missing endangered adult, missing endangered child, high-risk missing person, or have a mental impairment validated through a credible medical authority. So they have to go through the child's physician to get an Amber Alert through that means. In Iowa, law enforcement confirms a child has been abducted and entry has been made into Iowa NCIC system identifying the child as missing. The child is under age of 18. There is reasonable belief by law enforcement that an abduction has occurred. The child is in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. There is enough descriptive information about the victim and the abduction. Okay, so that's pretty similar to the other states. Kansas. There has been a child abduction. Okay. The abducted child is 17 years of age or younger, or an individual with mental or physical disability. There is reason to believe the victim is in imminent danger, serious bodily injury, or death. Okay, so in Kansas, as long as they're under 17, or under 18, 17 years or younger, and the police feel like there's reason to believe that the child is in danger, or the parents can prove there's been an abduction. Okay. So in Kentucky, law enforcement officials have a reasonable belief that an abduction has occurred. Law enforcement officials believe that the child is in imminent danger of serious bodily harm or death. The victim of the abduction is a child 17 or under. There is sufficient descriptive information about the child, captor, or captor's vehicle to issue an alert. Okay. So you got to see your child be taken. Louisiana criteria for the Amber Alert system include confirming that a child age is 17 or under has been abducted and that the circumstances indicate serious bodily harm or death. There must be enough descriptive information about the child, abductor, and suspect's vehicle to justify an imminent broadcast alert. The child must be under 18 years of age, and there must be a reasonable belief of abduction based on credible evidence or witness accounts. Maine. Okay, in Maine, we've got the big words "and," so they have to do all of these combined in Maine. So Maine, a child 17 years of age or younger is abducted, and there is reason to believe the victim is in imminent danger of serious injury or death. And there is information available to disseminate to the general public which could assist in the safe recovery of the victim and or the apprehension of the suspect. 2. The Amber Plan is activated only when the specific requirements of the plan are met as outlined above. An Amber activation is not to be used for runaways, most child custody disputes, or missing children. Now that only says most custody disputes. Because, in my opinion, it could be parent A is a non-custodial parent to the child, but they took the child and the child could be in danger from being with said parent. Hello to whoever just come into my chat. Bye. Please hit the thumbs up. Okay, in Maryland, law enforcement confirmed the child's been abducted. The child must be under age of 18. Law enforcement believes the circumstances surrounding the abduction indicate that the child is in danger of serious harm or death. There is enough descriptive information about the child, abductor, and or suspect vehicle to believe an immediate broadcast alert will help. I don't know what 4 was. Okay. Okay. Massachusetts. A child age 17 or below has been abducted. The child faces a significant risk of serious harm, injury, or death. Sufficient descriptive information is available suggesting that an Amber Alert could be instrumental in locating the child. So a lot of these are pretty straight up forward. The same. Michigan. To activate an Amber Alert in Michigan, law enforcement must believe that a child under 18 has been abducted and is in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. There must be sufficient information available to disseminate to the general public, which could assist with the safe recovery of the child and or the apprehension of the suspect. The on-duty lieutenant and analyst at the clearinghouse will determine if the alert meets the specific criteria for the alert to be sent out. So with this one, they are going to like Michigan Bureau of Investigation, and the lieutenant for the law enforcement and the representative at MBI would, or their clearinghouse, would determine if the alert, that's a two-person determination. Minnesota, as what was her name? Dorothy from the Golden Girls would say, Minnesota. The victim must be 17 years old or younger. Law enforcement must believe the child has been abducted. Investigators must believe the child is in serious danger of bodily harm or death. There must be enough descriptive information about the suspect or victim to help the public locate the child. Okay, I'm starting to see this now. Okay, so I'm a little slow and I have to go halfway through the country to find out what I'm trying to figure out. So, in the case, okay, in Nova Scotia, let's go up there. Jack and Lily, which they're Canada, they're not part of the United States. I understand that. Don't jump down my throat because I'm talking about two kids in another country. But it could be the same for Summer Wells. It could be the same for Sebastian Rogers. It could be the same for any number of children here in the United States that have gone missing. And I lost my train of thought. Okay, they're saying they come out instantly and said, my child was abducted. Okay? That poor little boy in Oregon, the little 2-year-old whose mom ran in the house to go to the bathroom, and when she came back out, her son was gone, and he had gotten to the river that was 150 yards away from their house. Okay, she did not, to the best of my knowledge, go and say, my child was abducted. She called law enforcement, my child was missing. Okay, they put out a search. They didn't have to put out an Amber Alert because there wasn't enough information to determine that he would have been abducted. But in the case of Summer Wells, in the case of Sebastian Rogers, and in the case of the two little babies in Nova Scotia, Canada, their parents immediately come out with, my child was abducted. Immediately. They didn't see the abductor, but they immediately said the children were abducted. Okay, then why would there be a nationwide search of the wooded area around the house and everything if, or the 5 mile, in Sebastian Rogers' case, his father did a 100-mile radius of his home to determine if he had been abducted. So, I mean, they're searching, but they're saying abduction at the same time. And I think it's in that case like that law enforcement would say, okay, we don't need to put an Amber Alert out on this child because they're instantly jumping to abduction. But they want people to search for the child on the ground, boots on the ground, and everything at the same time. And if things don't add up, but the reason, to the best of my knowledge, the reason the Amber Alert was put out for Sebastian Rogers was because hours and hours after Sebastian went missing, it was like later in the day, it was in the afternoon. I think it was actually Seth is the one that told the law enforcement that Sebastian had been diagnosed with autism as a small child and had the chromosome deletion. Okay? I think it was Seth. I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that. But it was because of that medical information is why the Amber Alert was put out on Sebastian. So there must be credible the child was and the escaped vehicle. There must be reasonable belief by law enforcement that an abduction has occurred. The law enforcement agency believes that the child is in imminent danger of harm or death. There's enough descriptive information about the victim and the abduction for law enforcement to issue an Amber Alert to assist in the recovery of the child. Okay. Missouri. Law enforcement officials have reasonable belief that an abduction has occurred, which meets the definition of RSMO 565.110 or 565.115. Now, I don't know what the codes are. I'm sure they're probably references and passages in some book somewhere. Law enforcement officials believe that there is a credible threat of serious bodily injury or death. Enough descriptive information exists about the victim and the abductor for law enforcement to issue an Amber Alert. Parental abductions do not qualify unless sufficient evidence exists to indicate that harm may come to the child from the parent, guardian, or other official custodial entity. Okay. I don't know what to say about that. I'm trying in my brain to figure out how to link that to any of the missing children cases that I know of. And I'm going through Sebastian in my head. And there's no way. Because they couldn't have possibly said, because Sebastian was with his mother, they could not possibly have said that Sebastian's father had taken him. But they could have said that Katie's in-laws didn't believe she was taking well enough care for Sebastian, and they decided to take him from her. It's possible. I mean, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just trying to correlate these in my brain. Montana. The missing child is age 17 years or younger, or has proven mental physical disability. Okay, so if they're mentally behind and needing to be guided, verbal guidance on things, then that's what they're saying. There's reasonable belief by law enforcement that the child has been abducted or has disappeared under suspicious circumstances. And suspicious circumstances would be Sebastian's case. That would be suspicious circumstances. He was there. His mom told him to go to bed at 9 o'clock. Around 10 o'clock, she heard the thud. She didn't check on him. She just said, I don't care what you're doing, you need to go to sleep. I can hear her voice saying that every time I think about it. I can hear it in her voice. I don't care what you're doing, you need to go to sleep. My son will be 18 in 6 weeks, and I still, even if I'm in the basement, I will still come upstairs and physically check on him if I hear a suspicious noise that I should not hear. Most of the time it's just because he's gone to the bathroom and stubbed his toe because he didn't clean his room. But I'd rather it be that than something serious. Law enforcement agencies believe the child is in imminent danger of serious bodily harm or death. Okay. Nebraska. The child is 17 years of age or younger. There is evidence the child is in danger or serious bodily harm or death. There is sufficient information available to disseminate to the general public. Did I get through where's Massachusetts? Did I say Mass? I have a problem with that word. 80% of the country. Massachusetts. A child 17 years old has been abducted. The child faces significant risk of harm. Sufficient deceptive information is available, or descriptive information is available, suggesting an Amber Alert could be instrumental in locating the child. Okay, so let's go back down here to, we did Montana. We did Nebraska. Let's do Nevada. Amber Alert is intended only for the most serious, time-critical child abduction cases. An Amber Alert is not intended for cases involving runaways or parental abduction, except in life-threatening situations. Every successful Amber plan contains clearly defined activation criteria. The goal is to achieve a uniform, interoperable network of plans across the country and minimize delays due to confusion among varying jurisdictions. The Washoe County Sheriff's Office employed an Emergency Child Abduction Alert Plan, CAAP, that utilizes the area's emergency alert system to provide quick police-generated reports on abducted children. So Nevada has their own network of an interstate Amber Alert. But if it's more serious, then they can reach out and make it nationwide. I like that. I like that because it's interstate and the whole state gets, every law enforcement agency in the state gets the information. Everyone. But then if it needs to be outside the state, they'll put out an actual Amber Alert and notify the rest of the country. I like that. I like that. I agree with that. I'm not mad about that. New Hampshire. The victim is 17 years of age or younger. Law enforcement believes the victim is in danger of serious bodily harm or death. There's enough descriptive information about the child abductor and or suspect's vehicle to believe an immediate alert will help. The child and or abductor is likely to still be in the area. So if they're still in the area, they can get an Amber Alert. Okay, I'm going to come over here because I'm not comfortable doing it the other way, okay? I keep turning my head over here to look at you and you're not over there. So I'm going to put you over here where you belong, okay? You see that? That was simple. I just picked up 1,000 people. Not really, because I only had 700, less than 700 in my viewing history. But 700 subscribers. But I just picked all y'all up at one time and moved you from one side of the room to the other. I'm good. I am good that way. I'm sorry, I cannot sit still. It's a nervous thing for me. I don't know why I did it, but I cannot sit still. In New Jersey, the child is believed to be abducted. The child is 17 or younger. The child may be in danger of bodily injury. There is sufficient information available to indicate that an Amber Alert would assist in locating the child. Okay. New Mexico. A confirmed abduction of a child under age of 18 must be established. The New Mexico Department of Public Safety, NMDPS, mandates this requirement. The time frame in which the New Mexico State Police is notified is critical. If the abductor may be traveling across state lines, other states or Republic of Mexico are notified to issue the alert. I like that. They are. I know there's Native American encampments. What do they call it? Reservations. Okay. Takes me a minute to get the words out because I know there's one in Oklahoma too. I don't know where they all are, but I know there's one in Mexico or New Mexico. There's a reservation, Native American reservation. And I know in Oklahoma, there's a Native American reservation. And New Mexico, they can cross over into Mexico right there, you know. I don't know if the wall's up. I really don't. I have never been there. But they can be feared of their child being taken to Mexico. I can see that. They would put it out to other places. New York. An abduction of a child under the age of 18 has occurred. The child is believed to be in danger of serious bodily harm and or death, either due to the actions of another or due to a proven mental or physical condition. The child must be under 17 years of age. Okay, up here it said under 18, and down here it says under 17. They must have changed the law. Okay. Law enforcement must confirm that the abduction has taken place, and there must be sufficient descriptive information of child captor and or captor's vehicle to issue an alert. A local law enforcement agency contacts the New York State Police Special Victims Units to provide details on their case, and the NYSP SVU will review the case to make sure it meets the activation criteria, provide specific details such as the exact location and time of the sighting, description of the child or children, accomplices, automobiles, and direction of travel. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. North Carolina. A child is 17 or younger. The child is believed to have been abducted. The child was not taken by a parent unless the child was in danger. The child is not believed to be a runaway or voluntarily missing. The abduction was reported to and investigated by a law enforcement agency. Okay? North Dakota. The abduction involves a child or children 17 years of age or younger. Confirmation by local law enforcement of a stranger or family abduction in which the child is believed to be in grave danger of serious bodily harm or death. Silver alert is issued when vulnerable individuals such as a disabled adult, a vulnerable elderly adult, or a minor who has developmental disabilities are reported to law enforcement as missing. So if you have a small child that has to walk with a walker, has to, because of a disability, and they have been abducted, there can be a silver alert put out on that child. I did not know that. I would imagine that could be possible for all schools, but I'm not going to say it. Okay. Ohio. The local investigating law enforcement agency confirms that an abduction has occurred. The abducted child is under 18 years of age. The abduction poses a credible threat of immediate danger or serious bodily harm to the child. There is sufficient descriptive information about the child, the suspect, and or the circumstances surrounding the abduction to believe that activation of the alert will help the alert. You know what I was just thinking? In the Sebastian Rogers case, they've had ring camera and video surveillance from all the neighbors, well, most of the neighbors in the general vicinity. So they've had these videos from day one. Now I know that they can't look through every video in 5 hours. I know, I'm smart enough to know that. But what if, just by chance, the video that was leaked out on the news of the 2 flashlights car, what if that particular video happened to have been viewed by somebody in Sumner County law enforcement, whoever was investigating, whoever internally investigated? What if that video, just by chance from God, happened to have been viewed? That would have been enough to say, we got to put out an Amber Alert. In my opinion. Now, they didn't want that video to get leaked because they wanted to use it against whoever they felt they needed. They wanted to use it as part of the case they were building about Sebastian. But the video did get out, so they had to deal with it. I wonder if that video was the reason that there actually was an Amber Alert put out the day after. Possible. In Ohio, local investigating law enforcement agency confirms that an abduction has occurred. The abducted child is under. Did I read this one? Under 18 years of age. The abduction poses credible threat of imminent danger or serious harm to the child. There is sufficient descriptive information about the child, the suspect, and or circumstances surrounding the abduction to believe that an activation of an alert will locate the child. Okay. Oklahoma. There's a song about Oklahoma. Law enforcement must believe the child has been abducted. Law enforcement must believe the child is in danger of serious injury or death. There's enough information about the victim and abduction for an Amber to be helpful in recovering the child. The abduction is of a minor, so I'm guessing under the age of 18. The child's information has been entered into the NCIC. Okay. So in Oklahoma, I don't know William Presley. He don't need to be gone fast for me. Oregon. Law enforcement officials confirm a child has been abducted and the child is 17 years of age or younger. And law enforcement officials believe that the child is in imminent danger of serious bodily harm or death. And there is adequate descriptive information available to believe that this dissemination of the public could help locate the child, suspect, and or suspect's vehicle, and the child's name and other critical data elements, including the child's abduction and Amber Alert flags, must be entered into the NCIC system. Okay. So in Oregon, it's got to be all of these. So that would be why that little boy from Oregon didn't get it. You know, the one that well, there were two of them recently from Oregon, and they were both found. They were both cases of just the child had wandered off. I'm proving it. Okay. I know the little bitty boy was. I'm sorry, I'm not good with names. I can't remember all of them. Some people can just like that name off every case that they've studied. I can't do that. I'm sorry. Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, Amber Alerts are only issued for children who have been abducted. Pennsylvania State Police will use it to make the public alert, often detailing the make, model, and even license of the vehicle suspected in the abduction, as well as photos of child or children. This helps search efforts with the public being aware and on the lookout. Additional factors are considered in the decision-making process to whether or not to activate the PA Amber Alert plan. According to PSP, that's Pennsylvania State Police, okay? For those of us like me, you have to look up further into the conversation to see what PSP meant, okay? These factors include, but are not limited to, availability of descriptive information which could assist in the recovery of the child, time elapsed since the child was last seen, and reliability of witnesses. So they're saying if your child goes missing during the night and you wake up, according to you, at 11 o'clock in the morning, because your child was so quiet that you were able to sleep right through them getting up in the morning, which if your child's not there, of course you will. But if you don't call that child in until 11 o'clock in the morning, the police are automatically going to be suspicious. Heather Locklear splits from high school sweetheart Chris Heiser, ends engagement after 5 years. Okay. That was something that I was in People News. We had to know that. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to make you smile. because that's what my whole goal is. Do something nice for someone, even if it's just be the reason they smile today. Okay, so Rhode Island. Law enforcement must contact Rhode Island State Police to review the case and determine if it meets the criteria. There again, we have two sets of eyes on the case, two different divisions to see that their thoughts mesh and the Amber Alert needs to come out. That's good. We're not just snapping an Amber Alert out there. Okay, the program is voluntary and cooperative between law enforcement agencies. The Amber Alert is triggered by serious child abduction cases. The Rhode Island America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response Plan, AMBER plan, is used for emergency alerts. Clearly defined activation criteria are in place to minimize delay. So that's good. That's good. But they didn't tell what it is. I'm presuming it has to be a minor. All of this, the child has to be in danger. You can see the suspect vehicle. I'm sure all that has to be in because it does in the other 48 states. Why not Rhode Island? 49 states. South Carolina. The child who is 17 years old or younger has been abducted. The child is in imminent danger of serious bodily harm. All other possibilities for the child's disappearance have been reasonably excluded, which means it's not just a runaway. It didn't just wander off into the woods. Its grandma didn't come get it. Something like it. I remember when my children were really little, I didn't have a home phone and cell phones weren't out yet. And my kids were in my car. And I pulled up to this grocery store near my home that had a payphone. I had my car parked here. The payphone was right here. I was trying to call my mom. The phone was ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing. And you know how a phone used to be, the phone would ring 23 times before it stopped ringing. I don't know. Back then it did. During those 23 rings, my mom and dad had driven past and saw my car sitting there, saw my children in the car, and saw my back turned to the car. Because I'm on the phone and I'm in a grocery store, cars are coming in and out. I'm not paying attention to the other cars. My mom and dad were able to get my 3 children out of my car, into their car, and get to their house while I was trying to call my mom. And then when I couldn't get a hold of my mom after trying 2 or 3 times, couldn't get a hold of my mom, I hung up. I turned around to my car, and my children were gone. Instantly, I go back to the payphone and I call my mom. She doesn't answer. I get in my car and I drive to my mom's house. Why? I don't know. I'm frantic at this point. My kids were in my car. I was trying to call my mom on the phone. My kids are now gone. I go to my mom's house. She's getting my kids out of her car. And I get the worst scolding. Because I should have known. I was in my 20s, my early 20s. I should have known to turn around after dialing the number and watch my kids in the car. But because my back was Because it was windy. I wanted to hear the phone ring, so I kind of had my head inside the little booth thingy that the payphone was in, My mom and dad were able to take my children from me. And my mom was like, what if I had been a stranger? But that was years and years and years and years ago. Because the youngest of those children was 35. And the youngest wasn't even 8 years old. Okay, so I don't think the youngest was born yet. Where did I live when Glenda was born? Yeah, I think Glenda had just been born. Just barely been born or something when that happened. Okay, so South Dakota. The request to declare an Amber, and there was no child services called on my kids or anything like that. My mother taught me the lesson as a young child that I was. My first child was born to my husband at the time and I before I was 18 years old. Okay, I was married to my first husband, my first child's father. I got married when I was 17. My mom and dad signed the papers to me. South Dakota. The request to declare an Amber Alert must come from law enforcement agents. There must be credible evidence that a child under 18 years old has been abducted. There must be evidence that the child is in danger of harm or death. There must be enough useful information that could be used to help safely recover the child and arrest a suspect. Okay. In Tennessee, this is where Sebastian Rogers and Summer Wells came from. The person is 17 years or younger. The child is in imminent danger of bodily injury or death. There is a description of the child, the abductor, or the vehicle. That if it is an out-of-state request, there must be a direct, identifiable connection with the state of Tennessee. Okay, so in Sebastian's case, Sebastian has autism and the chromosome deletion. Okay. And there was a video that law enforcement may have seen from 3 o'clock in the morning, or 3:12 in the morning, that was the flashlights outside in the common area. They may have seen it, they may have not. We don't know. We may not know until something happens and it goes to court. Okay? Now, in Summer Wells, she was under 5, or she was 5. There was thought that a red truck with a ladder rack had been in the area at the time. The police were looking for the owner of that vehicle to be able to get information. Now, that being said, I don't have it pulled up because I didn't think about it till just this minute. If you go back and you watch the police interviews from the first days after Summer Wells went missing, the police are standing at their site where they all gather around to go search. The search headquarters, is that what you want to call it? And the street is behind the law enforcement officer that is talking. She's talking about a red truck with the ladder rack on the back. At the moment, as she is talking about it, A truck meeting that description is going down the road right behind her. And they're saying they want to find the owner of this truck to be able to, with 15 law enforcement officers standing here looking at her while she's doing the interview, did not one of them see that truck on that road behind her? I'm just saying. In the words of Bullhorn Betty, just saying. Texas. The subject of the alert must be suspected of killing or seriously injuring a member of law enforcement. The person must pose a threat to public safety. A detailed description of the suspect's vehicle must be available for broadcast. A primary investigative law enforcement agency must request the activation of the alert from the Texas Department of Public Safety. Okay, so you pretty much need to know, it's standard. You need to, I'm suspecting anybody under 18. They must be a threat to public safety, or pose a threat to public safety. So if you suspect your child of being schizophrenic or something like that, and they go missing, then they'll put an Amber Alert out because that child hurt themselves or somebody in front. Or if you see the vehicle that has the suspect. Okay? So Texas is Utah. Law enforcement believes a child or children have been abducted. Law enforcement believes the victim or victims face imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. The child is under 17 years old. There is information that could assist the public in safe recovery of the victim or apprehension of the suspect. Okay, so that's pretty substandard, just standard. Vermont. The child is under 17. The child is kidnapped off the street. The child is kidnapped from a home. The vehicle is stolen or carjacked and the child was left inside the vehicle, which is what happened to me in a roundabout way. My children were in my car. I was right in front of my car, less than 10 feet away from it, and my children were taken out of my car by my parents. Okay? The child is reported missing. There's evidence of foul play, and the police believe the child was kidnapped. Okay. In Washington State, not D.C. I didn't look one up for Washington, D.C. The child is known to be abducted and is not a runaway. The child is believed to be in danger of imminent death or serious bodily injury. The alert, if you can hear that high-pitched whine in the background, my next door neighbor has his own car detailing service, and he's out there cleaning floor mats with a drill and some kind of a thing on it and a power washer, and he's cleaning the floor mats with this drill, and that's what the sound is. He'll do that up until midnight, but that's how long it takes him to get the vehicle clean. The alert is activated within 4 hours of the abduction. The child is under 18 years old. Okay, so they want to put in Washington, they want to put out an Amber Alert within 4 hours. That's good. That's good. I want to get it out there as soon as possible. There is enough descriptive information about the vehicle and the abduction from law enforcement to issue an Amber Alert to assist in the recovery of the child. Okay, so if they see the vehicle or if it was carjacked or something like that. So yeah, good. West Virginia. The child is believed to be abducted. The child is 17 years of age or younger. The child may be in danger of serious bodily injury or death. There is sufficient information available to indicate that an Amber Alert would assist in locating the child. Okay. Wisconsin. The missing person must be a child aged 17 or younger. The child must be in danger of serious bodily harm or death. A law enforcement agency must have enough information about the child, suspect, or vehicle to believe an imminent broadcast would help in locating the child. Okay. In Wyoming, that's the last one in the state. The last we got. We don't get to do no high-end nerd state. Okay? There ain't no high-end state. Wyoming, law enforcement has confirmed the abduction. The child must be 17 or younger. There is a reason to believe the child is in danger of serious harm. There must be sufficient information about the child, the abductor, and or the suspect. Okay. I'm going to keep this list because if any other children go missing from any other state, we have a quick reference guide right here. What are the criteria for I'm going to list this child, Amber Alert criteria. As per state. Okay? Then, at any time, somebody can say, hey, get Locker. Let me know. Yeah, I know that says gift to quilt at Gmail because that's what I started out as years ago. Started out making quilts for cancer patients. My gas bill is due in June. It'll be $101. Y'all care? I don't care because it's auto deducted out. I'll never see the money. We're going to save it. Use a name that doesn't include characters like / colon, star, question mark, quotation, less than or greater than, or phrase. I didn't use any of those. Then it says, go figure. I guess it's another vehicle for Mason to clean. So, I have to look way over there because I have a black curtain right there. Right behind my monitor and I can't see out. I would love to be able to see out there, but the sun goes down right there because that's the west side of my house. And I would not be doing a live right now if I didn't have a platform. So, all right, so now we know what the criteria is for Amber Alerts in all 50 states. So if it's needed that if it's necessary to, somebody's ever curious because there's an Amber Alert, what do we need to know? What do we need to tell the police? I have the information. For anybody's able to go to Idaho, just type in criteria for Idaho Amber Alert and pull it up. And as long as you have your criteria right there, you can give it all to the law enforcement. You can have the Amber Alert out lickety split. But if you came to call 911 and said my child's been abducted, and you give them the list of all of the criteria verbatim, I do believe you're going to look very suspicious. Just saying, in the words of Bullhorn Betty. Just saying. Okay. I like the way she said that. I can't say it with the fierceness that she says it. Just saying. Just saying. I love how she says it, okay? And I can't clip her saying it. I may message her. But hey, would you please clip you saying, just saying, and laugh behind it so I can use it. But, and then I can click it right here. Click it. And then, just saying. So, with that being said, look for my thrifting video to come out tomorrow. I have to go to... No. Look for it to come out tomorrow. Look for it to come out Sunday because I don't go live on Sundays, so I'll put a thrifting video out on Sunday. Okay? I got some cool things. You want to see some of them? I haven't looked at the value of them. Oh, I sat there too long, guys. I sat there too long. Alright, this is vintage Tupperware. This Tupperware right there. I have to clean it. Do not run it through the dishwasher. But I have to clean it. And then I can use that. This is a wall coaster for my granddaughter, and that's what it is. It's an awful talent. She loves it. I got it. This is for me. Is that spaghetti strap top like this, okay? And then it's got these, oops, break it, cute little shorts that goes under it like this. Shorts on top. And there's sunflowers. What makes you think? What makes you think? I don't like them. I'm playing, I play. Okay. So then, found this beautiful copper heart wall hanger. It's a cross and a heart, and it actually hangs like this. It hangs with the little things right there. Okay? You can hang it this way, or you can turn it and hang it like this. Because there's no way to get it in those holes back there, right there, because this hole goes this way, and this hole goes this way, and you can't make a metal item go both directions at the same time. So you can hang it this way, or you can hang it this way. Beautiful. This just caught my eye. Looks like an apple, an ordinary apple. Look, Salt and pepper shakers. Look how big they are. They're amazing. Look. They're pretty sitting on the kitchen table. Alright, then look at this vintage soap dish. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? I have to look up the price. That looks like it could be Dorothy Thorpe because that looks like silver overlay. But it looks like the silver was put on before the glaze on the china or ceramic. Then there's this. It's an eye, and it's the all-seeing eye, something. I think I may store my tarot cards on it. I may leave this for my tarot cards to put on. Unless Manda Panda says, I'm taking it. Because Manda Panda is always, she gets what she wants. She's my moderator, my daughter, and a wonderful friend. She's my oldest daughter. I have a son older than her. These were wrapped in plastic. Right? Look here. Little turkeys. There's salt and pepper shakers. Look here. Little turkeys. We got turkey butts. Turkey butts. Let me show you the cool thing about these. I have them new in plastic, in blue. Okay, my friend Henry just got the El Dorado at the lake. They're going camping for the weekend. All right. But I think these little turkey salt and pepper shakers are just, I don't know which ones do I like the best, the turkeys or the apple. And then, green's my favorite color. I got myself a green mouse. You see that? There. I got a green mouse for, how do I turn that light on? There it is. I've got a green mouse for my computer. And then my son will probably take this one. Okay. And that is my truck. I gotta go through and price all this stuff, photograph it, and get price stickers off of it and everything. Let's do a quick look up. I'll show you. I'm not going to go all the way over to my light box. I have to do this way. I have a black table right here. So I take my phone. All 6 people aboard the plane that crashed in San Diego yesterday have died. They've been recovered. Okay. I'm going to go to my eBay app right here on my phone. Open it up. I don't know if you can see. Right here, there's a little camera. Whoops. I'm going to click the little camera and it's going to bring up a little window. I'm going to take a picture of the item. And I'm going to scroll through here and see if I can find it. Okay, I'm not finding it. So I'm going to come over here to Google. I have a Google line up here. It also has a little camera over here on the side. But because I already have the picture from where I just took the picture from eBay, all I have to do is click on it and Google will look it up. See? Google found it. And it's a $43 dish on eBay. Okay? The $34, I'm sorry, I'm looking at it backwards. $34 dish on eBay. I paid $2 for it. So let's see who makes it. Okay, it just says vintage soap dish. That ain't right. Okay, it says vintage soap dish, blue and white and gold flowers, mid-century, Hollywood Regency, $34. This one doesn't have the silver in the middle. Yellow silver there. So I'm thinking the silver will raise the price of mine. Sometimes you gotta pay attention to the little details. But I'll just have to keep researching it. But still at that, paying $2 for something and having a $32 return on it. I mean, that's pretty good in my book. Let me look and see what this little gold plate is. With the CI. I hear my cat outside. This time I'm going to start with Google. Okay, it says Turkish Evil Eye Protection Jewelry Disc Display a Kamsa. It's valued at $10 and I paid $3 for it. There we go. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. So, thank you for being here. Do something nice. I know this is got to go in the file box. And do something nice for someone, even if it's just be the reason they smile today. Get